So guys, welcome to this event this evening, or morning or afternoon, wherever you are. This is our Leveraging DeFi Lego Blocks event with Saddle as part of the bounties. Thank you, sir. As part of the bounties for Bandits initiative and program that is ongoing. We'll drop some links in chat. I know a number of you are already participating or might be interested in participating in the future, which is absolutely fantastic. So this event should give you some insights, some ideas, and hopefully a little bit of motivation. Besides, we have Zim from the Saddle team. We've also got a few other speakers who'll be joining us. The structure of this event, guys, is to have broadly 3 speeches, 3 talks, and then we'll open up to you guys for any questions you may want to ask. Without further delay, I'm more than delighted to hand over to Zim, who's going to tell you a little bit more about today's event and everything in between. Zim, over to you, sir.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony. And thanks also to Clara and the rest of the Encode team. So I'm Zim. I'm the community lead and basically a bunch of other things that nobody wants to do, lead at Saddle. And cool. So this is a continuation actually from the event we had in December. So I don't know how many of you were there for it. I will screen share in a bit and kind of just pick up from there. To start though, for the new folks, we are Saddle. We're a stable swap AMM multi-chain now. So we're on Ethereum, Phantom, and the big L2s. So Arbitrum and Optimism, and soon will be Evmos. So yeah, and our ethos is very much open source and collaboration. And big thanks to the Encode folks for helping us live that vision. So we very much are open to anybody who wants to kind of build together. And yeah, hopefully you'll see from today that there's lots of ways to do that. So this is the Bounties for Bandits page. So again, this is a collaboration with Encode, kind of like an extended hackathon of sorts. You can read all the details about it here. But I wanted to call out, there was these videos from the last 2 sessions. And if you look at the technical deep dive article, shout out to Clara for making this all pretty and easily accessible. You'll see that there's a video where we go over our code base. So I'm gonna, so we're picking up from here. So if you haven't kind of looked over the code base, this is a great resource to get you started. And from here, today I wanted to share, the 3 of us wanted to share just some ways that you can work with Saddle and just highlight some fun projects that are great examples of this. So I've picked, well, I guess if you go to the Saddle repo, you'll see all of it's public, and the contracts in particular, there's many projects forking it, and we each just picked one, and yeah, and so I picked the Synapse project. This is Aurelius. I think it's actually, they have it under a different repo. Yes, Synapse CNS. And so Synapse is a cross-chain AMM. And what's really cool about Synapse, so this is one of my favorite bridges. And what's cool about it is you can actually not just bridge an asset, so like USDC from Ethereum to Avalanche USDC, or I can actually choose any of the other stables, which is really cool. So, and they've also got amazing coverage on it looks like more than a dozen networks logged in. But anyway, it actually doesn't go through Ethereum if I do 2 different L1s. And swap page and pools where people can LP, and you get some pretty decent APYs on stables depending on which network you're on. So yeah, it's a pretty great bridge. And if you're bridging to a new network, they'll give you like some of the some free gas tokens, which is always helpful. Let's see. So we can go to, oh, and something to call out, the way they've implemented their bridge is through a canonical, or as they call it, like a nexus stable in USD. And this is the bridging token for across like all the stablecoin pools between like Avalanche and Ethereum and Polygon or whatever. And so to make, and they also have like an ETH and so on. But basically, if I were to swap like from Avalanche DAI to Ethereum USDT, for example, it would first go to NUSD, then that gets bridged over. It's a mint and burn. So the Avalanche NUSD would get burned and then minted on the Ethereum side, which leaves room for arbors to kind of, keep the pools balanced. And then on the Ethereum side, the kind of destination chain, then the NUSD will be swapped into USDT. Now to dig into the contracts a bit, you can see that, so I'm on the Synapse repo. They have all their contracts in here, and it's actually broken out to 3 separate subdirectories. So in the bridging, in the bridge, you'll see that they've got a bunch of contracts and utils and interfaces. The main contract here, Synapse bridge.sol, you'll see that I think there's these core events and functions for token deposit, redeem, withdrawal, and these combined functions. So like deposit and deposit and swap. This would be, for example, if I were deposit in the previous example, depositing on Avalanche USD or depositing DAI on Avalanche, right, and withdrawing USDT on Ethereum. This function and event would be emitted when a user deposits the DAI, right, and then it will swap into NUSD, right, and then this would then trigger, I think it would be mint and swap, right? So then on the Ethereum side, it would mint in USD, right, and swap into USDT. And then how they use Saddle, as you can imagine, with all of those swaps, they are stable swaps. So you'll see that they have in the subdirectory for AMM, this is essentially a fork of the Saddle contracts. So all of these, so this massive merge all of that is the Saddle stable swap Solidity implementation. And they have, so when the actual swaps are happening from USDC to NUSD or DAI to NUSD, and then on the other side from NUSD to USDT, that's all run on the Saddle contracts. So we basically, they were able to leverage, a big chunk, essentially like half of their functionality through just forking and making slight modifications to the Saddle AMM. And they've also deployed, so that's like, at the core, right, of what Synapse is. It's an AMM on the on and off ramp sides, right? And then they use the mint and burn bridging model within USD, right? Which is covered in these contracts here. So yeah, that's Synapse. And they also have, they've also used a lot of this deployment contracts we have for the various stable swap pools. So, as you can imagine, each of the pools here require, right, each of the on-off ramps into the networks requires a stable swap pool. So each of these are needed to be deployed as well on their respective networks, and all of that is, I believe, also these are stable swap pool contracts deployed using the Saddle deployment contract. So as a refresher, that lives in the deployments folder. So you can see subdirectory deployments those are the addresses, but the actual deploy scripts are in here. And the pool deploy. So on the signup side, they have their NUSD or NETH deployments. So I think that should cover, yeah, so that's a brief overview of how Synapse uses the Saddle AMM to build their bridge. I see a question, how does Saddle compare to Curve? So Saddle is a re-implementation of the stable swap algorithm, which I think the folks at Curve initially created. We're implementing Solidity instead of Viper. So, you know, depending on who you ask, people have differing opinions on, you know, which is preferable. But I think most people would agree that Solidity has more tooling, community tooling built out compared to Viper. And then on top of that, Curve is built on a restrictive license, whereas we have a open source license. So anybody can just go ahead and fork the code. Whereas with Curve, you have to kind of deal with a lot of partnership talks, I imagine. And nobody has built a convex equivalent yet that I know of. So that's definitely something that, you know, I've heard the engineering team talk about as like, hey, this might be a good, like, you know, thing to do after V1 Saddle. So yeah, so that's definitely something of interest, I think, for the community. Jamie, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I can definitely start, since Mune is probably the easiest to understand compared to Saddle. Probably even more so than Synapse. They sort of took the build on top route, where we sort of decided to leverage Senpai a little bit more. Right, Mune, for those who don't know, is what I would consider a hard fork of Saddle. Okay, as you become more intimate with Saddle's code base through Senpai, personal use, and even technical bounties, hopefully technical bounties, you'll become immediately and intimately familiar with Mune. For Mune, think cute 8-bit Saddle on Polygon, right? But with a philanthropic twist. Okay, 50% of our admin fees go to a community elected nonprofit each quarter. This is something we're working out in our DAOenomics. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm going to coin it at this time. How we differ from Saddle is less technical than most Senpai projects, right? You'll find differences primarily in our mission, and if we ever do decide to release a token, likely our tokenomics as well. We are what you could call a for-profit positive impact project, right? We want our users to make money as much as we want to change the world. Okay, guilt is not in our marketing budget, right? So how do we do this? Yeah, okay, that honestly all comes down to Senpai and B4B. We have a drastically reduced overhead thanks to, like I said, Senpai and B4B. We have access to Saddle's engineers, their resources. We get security updates, expert level assistance with things like post-dev protocol management, optimal A parameters and what have you. And this gives us wiggle room, right? Room to wiggle around with existing partnerships, right? Room to get sort of wiggly with a tighter team and more community focused values. And with regard to Mune, room to really make a difference on this planet, right? I think a lot of people come into crypto hoping to make a quick buck, right? Or money in general. But I think the average manifestation of that dream is a little less selfish than we give it credit for, right? Because what we really want is freedom for ourselves, our families, our communities. And Web3 represents that in more ways than one, right? So people flock to it. And I think you'll find that if you really want to make a difference for any of those groups, but especially for yourself, the solution really is to stop hodling and start building, right? Build yourself up, build good habits, build your ideas out, and let the rest of the world build on top of them, a la Saddle, right? And really get involved with your favorite projects. Senpai and B4B, truly, it's an excellent opportunity to get in at the ground level of some revolutionary tech. I think we're all here because we love StableSwap, right? And how many of us wish we could have forked Curve? This is a chance to build yourself a highly sought after set of prerequisite skills. And look, I promise you, I've never opened my portfolio, seen a gain, and felt half as good as I do after looking at something I've helped build, right? So just definitely come tackle some bounties, get earning. I'll be there to help. So will the rest of the Saddle team. And it's worth noting that both Mune and Saddle have discords that are no stupid question zones, right? Come in, ask, be a noob. We love it. Okay. I'm sure you'll be able to find some links to both by the end of this.
I'm looking at the website. It looks great.
So here's the Mune, right? We have a very friendly little interface here. We have our little overview of what we do over in the corner there. You can see the swap, the earn, and the learn, right? Our 3 core values that we share with Saddle. In the center, we highlight the flash loan ability there. If you see, take a flash loan out. This is a big thing for us, right? We as you can see directly above that, it says we proudly facilitate flash loans for charity, right? For the underprivileged and for the vulnerable. Flash loans are a previously untapped revenue stream, right? This is a brand new revenue stream that not a lot of people are aware of or super familiar with. And we hope to direct some of that to good, to positive impact. In the third little column there, you can see our giant shoulders section. These are all of the projects and initiatives that helped get Mune off of its feet, primarily B4B and Senpai, you can see there. And under that little moon emoji up in the top left corner is our sneaky hidden little menu. And under there, you can find some cute NFTs, bird themed, a la my daughter, who was the primary influence for this project, right? She, the birth of her would have been financially debilitating if it weren't for DeFi, and the opportunity to sort of share that with everyone is what really inspired Mune, right? The idea that if we could just skim 2% off the top of our 10%, right, then we could really make a difference. And as you can see here, this is the app. It is and should look extremely familiar. As I said, we are a hard fork of Saddle. You might even consider us a bit of a time capsule, because we do plan on maintaining this sort of cutesier 8-bit style, and Saddle has updated since to a fancier, more informative pools layout. We also have the graph that you would expect, where you can see all the goings on. You can run in, you can play around just as you would on Saddle. And we are working toward getting Dune analytics as well. Stay tuned for additional features. We have some pretty interesting stuff coming down the pipeline, but we are we're what you would call a relaxed DeFi community. We want to be a place where you can come and hang out, right? Help build, contribute, just like Saddle, but perhaps with less of that San Francisco, Silicon Valley rush tied to it, right? We are the Northern Canadian version of Saddle. We like to sit around by the fire and watch our gains grow trees. But that is really about it there. We are very simple. We have our landing page, we have our app, we have our graph, and we do have our docs as well. But they are not necessarily worth going into at the moment. They're exactly what you would expect, and hopefully even more informative than you'd expect.
Looks like you got a question too. Someone asked what tech you use for the website.
What tech do we use for the website? This would be really a question, I feel, for Karthik, our primary and lead developer. Well, I took this project on through B4B. It was actually via Encode that I was able to hook up and connect with more experienced devs who have a more professional workflow than me. And Karthik actually can't be here with us at the moment. He is based out of India, and I believe he's sleeping. And if he isn't, he's crazy. I'm so sorry. I wish I could answer that for you, but that truly is a Karthik question. I see this one here. What's next for the project? So what's next for the project is TVL. We have a lot of, and also incoming partnerships, right? We really want to incentivize to do good. We don't want to just say, hey, drop your money in here, make none, and feel good about it, right? A warm, fuzzy feeling in your hearts isn't necessarily enough incentive to LP. So we're really pushing toward that, and we've got some late level discussions on that front already proceeding that we're very excited about. I don't think I can say any more, and so I won't, just in case. I feel like that's good practice. But what's next is everything.
Thanks so much, Jamie. It's a pleasure to hang out with you and the Duck fam, all the Mallards.
Yeah,
and Discord
I forgot to mention, that is me. I am the Duck. I am the fellow who hangs out around Encode and Saddle and various other DAOs with the Mallard avatar.
It looks like Duy is back. Do you wanna take over and share a project that you selected?
Sounds good. So I'll be talking about Mobius AMM. All right. So Mobius AM. So this is the UI Mobius AMM, and so what they are is they are an AMM that is a fork of Saddle on a L1 Acela, which is an L1 that is fully EVM compatible. That is basically targeting the mobile users. And looking at their code base, let me see. Give me a sec on this.
Hey, Duy, sorry to interrupt. Did you want to give a quick intro for the folks?
Oh, hello. My name is Duy. I'm a developer here at Saddle. I recently joined from a relatively long career in big big companies, but yeah, I'm always interested in crypto, DeFi, and finally took the plunge and started work for and join Saddle. Back to Mobius. So again, they are an AMM. They use our Saddle as a building block for their stable swap, and basically it's pretty much a 1-for-1 fork of us. And the main thing that they changed was, let me see, I just had it. The reason why I want to talk about this project is that they are on another L1, but since the L1 for Saddle is fully EVM compatible, they just basically take the Saddle Lego block and drop it in their protocol, and they have stable swap. And it's very much a 1-for-1 with us, except for the fact that they don't charge what's it called, withdrawal fees. They charge it on the deposit from the front from the beginning. So that's pretty much it. So this just comes to show how easy things are how easy it is to use Saddle as a building block.
For that, I can attest to the fact that it is super easy to build with Saddle, right? The repo is organized for forking. I mean, if it wasn't, it's a happy accident because it's super simple and super straightforward, streamlined.
Awesome, thanks.
At least it was in Mune's case. I'm sure Synapse had a little bit more to do.
But yeah, and another thing about Mobius is that they are a relatively new project. I think it happened within this last year or so, and they already have about 25 million TVL and gaining fast. So they're just another example of a up and coming successful project that was built using Saddle stable swap.
Thanks so much, Duy. And yeah, feel free for everybody here, you can, if you want to find other sample projects or inspiration, you can look through the forks of the repo, the contracts repo, or just hop in our Discord. And yeah, we can, I'm there, Duy be there, the rest of the team, and of course, our favorite ducks will be there as well. I think to kind of zoom out a bit, the ethos of, and this is why Web3 is so special and different from Web2, at least thus far, is there are so many of these Lego blocks. And in the case of Mobius, right, Celo is pretty prominent L1, but it's certainly, I would say, not as well served as like Avalanche or Polygon, for example. And the fact that the Mobius team could just fork Saddle's code and then grow a project to pretty significant TVL is a testament to how the DeFi and Web3 ecosystem will be able to really grow exponentially. And then for all the developers in here, you have the opportunity to really play around with all of this code that in Web2 would have been closed source. And if you can find, get yourself familiar and like find, some applications like an AMM, right, that is so fundamental to any L1 or L2 and really find the L1s and L2s that are maybe underserved, and there's people that are looking for these primitives, or like more advanced features like bridges or like integrated like GameFi stuff, like whatever it is, right? Like find the underserved communities and ecosystems, and then build something there. I think you can really win big. Or find a project like Mune or Saddle and and help out. Like that's also a great way to just like get involved, and like especially if you don't want to go straight into running your own project. So I think Encode is especially a great platform to do that, whether it's Saddle or another hackathon or another kind of ecosystem. I know Anthony and team are always looking out for great devs and helping match you guys to the right projects and right teams. So there's always that option too. Trotsi, there's a question. What is Project Senpai? So Senpai stands for Saddle Ecosystem Max Proliferation Initiative. And basically it's a follow-up of Bounties for Bandits. So B4B is like more hackathon style, right? It's you fork Saddle's code or you build something, or there's a number of other bounties like creating a staking page, and then you get the grant, you get the reward. And then for teams like Jamie and Mune that want to continue building their project, that's where Senpai comes in. It's to help provide additional support. I'll drop a link, or maybe Eric can drop a link about some of these kinds of additional supports you can provide, like intros, like to liquidity providers, marketing help, like amplifying your socials and helping you hire, and the things that would aside from just the coding that helps that's necessary for a project to scale.
And I see we got Karthik in there to answer the technical question about Mune. Welcome, Karthik. You are officially crazy. It's very late, as I understand it, where you are. You're a brave man.
Cool. There's also a general DAO question. I don't know if anybody wants to take it. I think DAOs are. This is a bit more. I don't know. This is just my opinion. I think what makes DAOs interesting is the tooling and infrastructure around it. At the end of the day, it still serves people. So a lot of the same people who are currently operating companies using C Corps or LLCs, maybe in the future they're running it as DAOs. But whether it's purely democratic or if it's still top down, right? Like those are things that like DAOs make it easier to operate like a democratic organization or a delegated kind of like a republic type of organization. But it still takes people at the center to kind of decide how they want to govern. I think maybe in this context, what's really interesting is all of the tokenomics and the DAO infra and tooling that essentially makes, for example, in the case of Saddle, right? We just had the token unlock proposal passed on Snapchat. So now like the tokens representing ownership and voting power in Saddle, and also like staking and rewarding possibilities with a token, like now that's going to be unlocked, which means like anybody can, it's essentially like an IPO, but like in the metaverse, but also it's it would be liquid. So there's a lot of answers to that question.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with the DAO infrastructure, right? That's the key. Just because a company chooses to adopt the DAO infrastructure doesn't necessarily mean that they will be at all decentralized. I think what will be interesting to see is the adaptation of on-chain corporations, right? In general, with more traditional structures. Not that it's necessarily following the ethos of Web3, but it will definitely contribute to the impact that it has on the world and on economics as a whole, right? The adoption of this sort of infrastructure and tokenomics especially by Web2 and traditional corporation. While the questions are rolling in, I did see Eric from Saddle mention there in the chat that we have we at Delos HQ, this is the community multi-sig at Saddle, further pushing the community angle. NFT gas rebates on the horizon, which is another very exciting feature.
It looks like there's a question about what's to be excited for. I can add to that. So the community efforts like Delos HQ for sure. We have the token unlock happening with Vote Escrow being implemented. And yeah, we'll also have permissionless pools and registry features launching soon. So anybody will be able to create a pool with any arbitrary tokens on any of the networks that are supported on Saddle. And for forks of Saddle, you get that for free. So you just need to update the repo, and then you'll have that repo and contract addresses, that is. And what else is awesome? The team will be headed to Consensus in Austin in 2 months, so that should be pretty fun.
How did you get involved? How did you personally get involved with SDL? Probably a broad question. And second, when exactly is the token unlock actually happening? Very imminently, as the answer.
Imminently, indeed. Yeah, it'll get launched with Vote Escrow, so that's being implemented currently. So I would say like 1 to 2 months. So the snapshot will be, or rather the unlock will be happening with the same transaction to be signed as the Vote Escrow.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much for coming in this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. This event has been recorded and will go up online for all attendees and non-attendees if you signed up tomorrow. And if you have any questions, come and join the Discord, both on the Saddle side or on the Encode side. Links have been dropped in. The most important thing to say is we're at the start of session 2, or season 2. Of Bounties for Bandits, which means we want you, if you're not already part of the program, to sign up, come do a call with us, and to get involved. There's plenty of bounties to answer, quite frankly. We'll tell you which ones we think you should answer. And we encourage you to get involved. Zim's dropped the Discord in there. I'm dropping a link in as well. So please do not be shy, come and talk to us, and make sure you are participating in all things good happening with Bounties for Bandits and Saddle over the next few weeks and months. Otherwise, guys, thank you very much for coming. We'll see you soon, and we look forward to seeing you build all the good things that we've seen today, your versions of it. And thank you very much to Sin, to Jamie and the rest of the Saddle team for coming by and talking to us. Thank you very much, guys. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and see you all very soon.